see it in an actual theater, that was really special. I'm so happy that I got to see it with all of you. That was really, really exciting, and even I was worried that they wouldn't win the race there for a second. All right, this is the last movie I get to program here. I really hope you let me do this again one day, because this was, I had look, there's a lot of movies that made me want to direct, but probably none more than the one you're about to watch. I was scared of becoming a film director because I was the son of a famous director, and I was well aware of what people think of the sons of famous filmmakers. And right as I was kind of getting the confidence to actually do it, around that time, I saw a series of films that were part of an important movement for me. It was basically the American indies of the 90s. And I saw Slacker for the first time, and I saw Clerks for the first time, and I saw Quentin's films and Rodriguez's films. But none really had an impact on me like seeing Bottle Rocket. It's a funny film that's not mean. And that's very rare, actually. It's a film about, being lost and trying to figure out who you are, just like the film we just watched. And similar to the film we just watched, it was a discovery of more than one person. Usually, if you can have one discovery in a movie, it has a huge impact. But to see a film where not only is it a discovery of the writer and the director, but also the actors, where you're seeing everything for the first time and you're realizing, oh my God, this is kind of a voice that I'm going to now follow forever. This is something I've never heard before. The dialogue is just like, what is this? And it's so kind of strangely beautifully shot, considering it's so independent. And we're very, very lucky to have our special guest tonight, because he was one of those voices that did make me want to be a director. And his name is Luke Wilson. So Bottle Rocket was based on a short film called Bottle Rocket.
It was. Can I quickly say something?
Oh, yeah, sure.
If
yeah.
it's okay. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'd gotten to be friends with Dennis Quaid over the years, and his son's about the age of the Cutters, and I thought, he'd probably want to see it on the big screen, Dennis' son Jack. Right. So I called Dennis today and said, what's going on? He said, well, I'm in Hawaii, and I said, they're going to be showing Breaking Away, and he was like, well, when are they showing it? And I said, tonight. He's like, well, I don't think I can make it, buddy. And then, over the years, I've always asked him questions about the movie, and one of the funniest was, or I thought it was funny, was he said during the making of the movie, Randy, his brother, had called him and said, I've kind of already established the Quaid name out in Hollywood, so it'd be good if you could change your name. This is during the making of the movie. And Dennis said,
my dad asked me to do the same thing.
And Dennis said, yeah, I'll change my name to Buck Quaid. And it always seemed like a real Cutter's response. But, yeah, I finally stopped yelling Cutter's to him every time I see him. So.
Was he? Oh, how was he about that?
Well, I didn't know him when I first would say it to him. Dennis can be like, he can seem kind of like ornery, even though he's not. And I yell, Cutters. He was like, huh? He was like, Cutters. He was like, yeah, Cutters. I've since gotten him to do it back a little bit. That was, hopefully his son is here, so.
That's really funny. So let's just talk for a moment about the kind of the derivation of this movie, because it's like, I made short films to start my career. Almost every director does, and this is one of the very rare cases where you guys made this short film, and then you actually transitioned it into the very feature that you wanted to make. I mean,
yeah.
how similar were they?
Owen and Wes Wes Anderson had written a script, and we wanted to just try and do a whole movie guerrilla style, and we were living in Dallas, Texas at the time, and then, you know, kind of realized that you'd never be able to get the money for it, and we had met this guy, Kit Carson, who is a filmmaker, and we'd always been big fans of his, and he had told us about Sundance, and so he said, you know, try and make a short, and I think we made, you know, 11 minutes, showed it to somebody, and then got some more money to do it, and took it to the Shorts Festival at Sundance, where nothing really happened, but this woman named Barbara Boyle did get a hold of it, and she took it to Polly Platt, who at the time was kind of the right-hand woman of James L. Brooks, and she'd been married to Peter Bogdanovich, and was kind of instrumental in making Paper Moon and The Last Picture Show.
Right.
Yeah, and it helped Jim Brooks do Terms of Endearment. So she got it to him, and he responded to the script and to the short, and then kind of went from there.
I mean, that's got to be a pretty holy shit moment, right?
Well, I mean, you'd think it was, and I think we did say that initially, and then James L. Brooks came to Dallas, and you know, he wanted to see where we lived, and he walked in, he's kind of got a funny hair, and he's just like, oh man, in this kind of hovel all together, and then we had a table reading, you know, at a
Not in the hovel.
no, not in a nice hotel room, which just immediately kind of threw me off. This hotel we'd always kind of seen in Dallas, and I think the original script was maybe, you know, close to 200 pages. And I sweated, you know, through my shirt during the read through, and Owen looked over at me and just gave me this, you know, kind of glare. We're not kind of keeping it together, and then by the end, James L. Brooks had started watching a TV that was, the sound was turned off, and it had like a basketball game.
No!
You thought, like, I'm seeing it all happen. I'm seeing this guy go from like, we could make this to maybe now is not the time. And then Wes kind of cornered him at the end and said, so are we going to do it? He said, I don't know, buddy. Kind of one of those points where you hope you'd just be kind of lied to.
Right. Well, because, and that's an interesting thing about that guy, because he's, Brooks comes off kind of sweet and affable at first, but can kind of cut to the truth and be painfully dry as well.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I wasn't around him like Owen and Wes were, because he then had us out, or had Owen and Wes out top, you know, to LA, and I came with them for security. And you know, we were just kind of, they were moving us around to kind of different, kind of strange apartments and hotels and things. And, yeah, they were working with him on the script, but it was a tough time. His company was Gracie Films, and he was making All Do Anything, which was this movie with Nick Nolte that was, you know, huge budget. It was going to be a musical. They filmed it, then took all the music out, so he was going through that, and then trying to work with those guys on the script, and it all happened, you know, over the course of the summer. But I think he was real helpful to those guys on the script and kind of working on certain ideas.
Now, one thing that I really associate with this film is the voice of the film, and it's partly the directorial voice of Wes Anderson, and then very much also you and your brother's voice. And it seemed as though I felt as though I had never heard this before, and I'd heard Texans before, but there's something very unusual about. It was just kind of this strange innocence. When you guys were making it, did you feel as though, oh, we're doing something that's different, or were you trying to emulate something we just didn't know?
I mean, that all comes from Owen and Wes, and, you know, the script they wrote, and then, you know, the way Wes directed. But